It's the kickoff of a critical home-and-home series for two teams who have been slow out of the gate. It's the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders this evening from Mosaic.
This one tonight comes down to a battle in the trenches. Mike Riley has been pounded this season. The BC O-line has given up more sacks than any team in the league after 4 games at 17. They've got to hold off a star-studded defensive line for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the likes of Micah Johnson, Charleston Hughes, A.C. Leonard, and Zach Evans.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders come off the bye. Greg Dickinson's team bouncing back after a 37-10 loss against Calgary, trying to extend a 3-game win streak against the BC Lions. And on the other sideline, there's Devon Claybrooks, who calls this a tipping point in the season as he looks for a bounce back from last week's 33-6 defeat against the Edmonton Eskimos. And looking for the Lions' first win against a Western opponent. Great atmosphere here, Suits, on an early Saturday evening in Regina.
Jam-packed at Mosaic, ideal weather, shouldn't be a factor. A little bit of a breeze down on field level, but a very important game for both these West Division rivals.
Lions won the toss and elect to receive. There's Ryan Langford, newcomer to the BC Lions. He'll handle some kick return duties tonight, along with Shaq Johnson. Gabe Ferraro's got it on the tee, and we're underway here from Mosaic. And it is the newcomer. Langford across the 30, and he finds a crease to close to the 45-yard line. So good field position to set up for Mike Riley, who called last week's loss against Edmonton unacceptable and embarrassing.
Sacked 5 times in that game, 12 in total in 2 games versus the Edmonton Eskimos over a 3-week period. Reworked offensive line in front of him. Only one player up front in the same position as he was last week, that John Simon Waugh at center.
So they start at the 44 with Brandon Rutley, the ball carrier, trying to establish something on the ground here. BC Leonard, the tackle.
A couple guys playing against their old team. Deron Carter, the BC Lions, underachieved so far this year as a Lion, but still unsure why he was released originally from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And here is the reworked offensive line. Brett Boyko from right tackle to left. Hunter Stewart from center to guard. Philip Norman starting his first game, and David Foucault from guard out to right tackle.
4 different changes on that line from last week. It's 2nd and 5. And Riley going to take a shot for Brian Burnham, and he can't catch up to it with Ed Gainey step for step.
Great composure from Ed Gainey, the 8-year veteran for Saskatchewan in the secondary. That's a top receiver for Mike Riley, and Brian Burnham makes a little inside cut and then heads to the corner to the outside of the sideline, but patience from number 11. Gainey just waits, is patient, does not interfere, and is in good position.
Let's go, man. Hey, that's what Gainey we know.
A lot of players playing against their former team here this evening. One of them is punting, Josh Bartell, with Marcus Thigpen and Kyron Moore deep. Moore's got it at the 20. And reaches the 29-yard line, and Cody Fajardo will lead the Saskatchewan offense out after his first tough start of the year. And he said the loss 2 weeks ago against Calgary was on me.
Got a chance to take a look and self-scout off the bye, and chance to look at all the issues that they had in that game against Calgary and try and bounce back from it. We'll see if Cody Fajardo is able to do that. Former BC Lion, of course.
First down, William Powell gets the handoff and shakes the first tackle. Good run. Up close to a first down at the 39.
Starting offense, former BC Lion Manny Arsenault gets his first start in the green and white. Saskatchewan Roughriders at wide receiver. His leadership will be much needed in that young receiving core. There's the offensive line. I've highlighted the tackles, Taron Vaughn and Thaddeus Coleman, because they're up against Odell Willis tonight, who's looking for sack number 100 for the BC Lions in his career.
And this is an issue already. The left guard, Philip Blake, who's been replacing Brendan Labatt, is down early. They've got Jacoby Cofield, Brendan Labatt, and Darius Bladdock already on the IR. While we get an opportunity, we'll set that Lion defense for you.
There's Odell sitting at 99 in his career, sacking the quarterback. He's looking for number 100, has for a couple of weeks now. Linebacking court, Jordan Hurdman-Reed leads the team in defensive plays with 34, and in the secondary, once again, TJ Lee is leading that group. He's got 26 defensive plays total. That's number 1 in the DBs, number 2 on the team. He loves to get involved and play physical, even in the run game.
And now I'd like to welcome viewers who are watching the Montreal Alouettes post a 20-10 victory over the Edmonton Eskimos. Just underway here, a 2-and-out for the BC Lions on their first possession, and now setting up a 2nd and 1, but an injury to the left guard, Philip Blake, who continues to get attention.
Boy, these two teams got the result they wanted in that first game tonight. Montreal beating Edmonton. There's Zach Collaros.
And Odell Willis went over to give him a little tap. Of course, Odell
was the hit.
With the hit last year that knocked him out. And it wasn't the first time. But Collaros returning to the Roughriders camp this week. Still on the 6th game, so unable to practice, but meetings.
But able to help Cody Fajardo in meetings, help him break down the film, take a look and self-scout, as I mentioned, take a look at what went wrong. His first 2 starts outstanding, almost 800 yards passing. So he's got a veteran now that he can sit in the meeting room with, an extra set of eyes on the sideline to talk to between series.
So Braden Schramm comes in, the youngster out of Calgary, on 2nd and 1. Keeper by Fajardo. And he's got the first down. Now Bradbury with the signal.
Real good start for Cody Fajardo right out of the gate. Take a look at those first 2 games. He was 78.5 completion percentage, just shy of 800 yards, did not throw an interception. Then he faced the Calgary defense. They had a good game plan for him, and faces his first adversity as a starter. How does he bounce back is one of the questions that fans here want to see if they can get the answer to.
There's a connection as he hits Corey Watson, the veteran. His last pass in that game against Calgary, the pick 6 by Trey Roberson. He ended his night 9 of 15 for 89 and was sacked 4 times in the game. Protection of both quarterbacks has been much talked about coming into this game. 6 for Watson, 2nd and 4. That's Arsenault in motion. They'll fake to Powell, and feet first slide for first down by Fajardo up near midfield.
Lead block by Manny Arsenault, who starts at the opposite side of the formation, comes out, and he's going to try and get in front of one of the DBs for the Lions. Is coming up to try and help out in the run. That's Gary Peters just getting his way, and then Fajardo slides right in behind him after he's got to that first down marker.
There's Manny, 129 games as a Lion, 8,169 yards receiving and 55 touchdowns. Now wearing green and white. Powell again inside. And Malik Harris with the tackle as Powell lugs it across midfield.
Yeah, I think this is a big ad for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, he's been here all through camp, and he's been working with the team and practicing the last couple of weeks, and they've been holding him back a little bit, trying to make sure he's completely healthy coming off that ACL. There's his 8 seasons with BC. Impressive numbers, but it's more than that with Manny Arsenault. It's about the leadership he can provide in that huddle.
Working up top against Anthony Thompson. Second down. Out of the backfield. Powell can't make the catch. And the drive will stall near midfield.
It looks like it should be one of the easier plays to complete. For a quarterback, though, he's looking just at the shoulder pad of the target. It's not a big target to hit. Ball just a little bit high on Cody Fajardo, and William Powell can't come up with it.
John Ryan's hit inside the 10 4 times this year. Langford back standing at the BC 10. Averaging 47.5 yards a punt, John Ryan. And Langford's going to let that one bounce through. Be a long single through the back of the end zone. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the board. Not what Ryan was looking for, but Mike Riley down by a point. Biggest early season story with the Lions has been the constant heat on Mike Riley and the physical toll it's taken on him.
Taking a lot of hits, not just the sacks. We mentioned off the top, the Lions O-line has given up 17 sacks throughout the season, but it's not just those sacks. He gets hit after he throws the football, pressures. It's been a long season already for 13.
And Micah Johnson and Charleston Hughes can make it a long day. BC starts at the 35-yard line. It's Rutley again off the left side, and he'll charge for a first down, a 15-yard run, maybe a little bit more for Brandon Rutley, who gets the start ahead of John White.
Boy, what a great play call by Jarius Jackson. He felt that pressure was going to come from this side, and they load up Saskatchewan on that side, and what do? The Lions just run away from it. 3 Saskatchewan Roughriders load up the wide side of the field. Rutley goes the opposite.
Devon Clayburgh's talked about riding those horses in the backfield to help take some heat off Riley. The hitch here to the former Roughrider. Durant Carter down the sidelines. He steps out in Saskatchewan territory at the Rider 53.
Well, underachieving is really the only way to describe his season so far. I mean, last week, targeted 7 times versus Edmonton. Just caught 3 for 27 yards. And targeted 40 times this year by Mike Riley. And just has the 24 catches. Expecting bigger things. Now, the pressure on Mike Riley, a big part of that story as well.
Hearing it from the fans and loving it. 25 games as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. Many down the stretch on defense. Here's Rutley again, and he's got a first down at second level. Running hard as the former Alouette, Brandon Rutley. Derek Moncrief the tackle.
Here's an adjustment already for BC. Talked about the juggling in the O-line. Seeing a lot more of Brandon Rutley out of the backfield. Primarily a returner in the first 4 games of the season for BC, and a few carries already tonight.
Might get him there as well, but it's a 9-yard run for Rutley. 23 yards for Rutley on this series. He'll hand off the ball again. This time he is limited, 41-yard line. There's Elimimian with the tackle.
That last play, Chris, right after the crowd got on Durant Carter a little bit, and he was going back and forth. He got into it with Nick Marshall on that Rutley running play on first down. Take a look at that battle as this game goes on. Nick Marshall back in the lineup this last game for Saskatchewan due to injury.
Second and long here. Riley to throw with pressure coming. There's another sack. Around the end came Charleston Hughes, and now has sacks in 4 consecutive games. 6th of the season for number 39.
And the 18th given up by the BC Lions. He just beats his man, David Foucault, around the edge. Wasn't a fancy blitz. Mike Adam was up there, but didn't outnumber the line blockers.
120th career sack for Hughes. And the 16th time he has sacked Mike Riley. Here's Castillo from long range, hit from 54 in the warm-up. From 50 yards out, it is up, and it is perfect. And the BC Lions take a 3-1 lead. Rutley looks strong on the ground, but the drive got stalled because of Charleston Hughes racking up another sack. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, the official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Welcome back to Mosaic. Great night for football. 3-1 Lions lead. The Roughriders won both games last year in the season series. Won 3 straight after the BC Lions had won 7 consecutive games against Saskatchewan. Fajardo going to air it out, and he's got Jack Evans down around the 39-yard line with the biggest play for Saskatchewan early in this one.
Caught Brandon Dozier a little bit shallow on this post route, and Cody Fajardo puts it up so that Shaq Evans can go up and get it, and that's why he comes up with the reception. Doesn't wait for the ball to come down to him. He goes up, climbs the ladder, and gets it at the high point so that Dozier can't recover in time. 36
for Evans, who did not have a catch against Calgary in his last start. So it's a first down at the BC 39. Powell stays in the block. Fajardo moves out of the pocket, and he's got Kyron Moore to the cone. Touchdown!
This is why quarterbacks do all those footwork drills throughout the offseason and in practice every single week. They're constantly working on their footwork so that if they get in trouble like Cody Fajardo does after the play action, watch, he's going to step up, doesn't like what he sees, but he needs to buy himself another second. He bounces outside, finds his target in Kyron Moore, and he does the rest.
Second touchdown of the year for Moore. Yesterday, Cody Fajardo said, I want to see swerve dancing, and that is Kyron Moore dancing in the end zone after a 2-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. 36 to Evans, 39 pass, run, and lunge for Moore.
All right, all the young receivers watching, you may break the huddle and be on the backside of a play and think, the ball's not going to come to me, but that doesn't mean you gear down and you don't run full speed. Kyron Moore was away from the play, but when Fajardo scrambles and gets outside, he stays with his route, comes all the way across the field, and ends up being the primary target for his quarterback. But tremendous feat for Cody Fajardo, and Kyron Moore has got that dance going.
With 81 yards passing in the first quarter already. Remember, just 89 yards of passing for Fajardo in his last game. Here's Langford, and into heavy traffic along that sideline, and bounced out at the 34.
See it all the time. I don't believe Mitchell in Calgary uses beanbags and has someone throw beanbags at him, and as he shuffles through the pocket, see Fajardo step up. Look at the good feet to bounce back out with Odell Willis chasing him. Then he finds Moore, who's come all the way across from that backside, as I showed you in the first replay, and then Moore dives to the cone. But that's where the footwork drills pay off for a quarterback. Jack Johnson can run now. You know, I've been watching this player develop throughout the last couple of years, as many have. And I think the only thing that's missing in his game right now is targets. And I like that BC and Jarius Jackson put him into the short side of the field, closer to Mike Riley on that play. Let him use his speed. He went down there and got it.
53 yards, his biggest catch of the season. And the Lions in business at the Roughrider 23. Great start to this one. Riley, a little pump, and inside it goes to Carter. And Duron Carter tossed out around the 10-yard line. That was Nick Marshall. Carter looking for a flag, and so is Brian Burnham.
Well, two things here. First, Duron Carter's got to be careful with the talking after the fact, but Nick Marshall was close here. I mean, that's enough. He's out of bounds. That was right on the borderline of an unnecessary roughness call. I almost would say to Duron Carter, he's got a bit of an argument. Didn't have to be excessive once he was out of bounds, but we saw that fight start in the last series. Here they go again, down in press coverage at the bottom of your screen.
First and goal. Here comes Hughes. Riley gets it away. Wants Burnham. Incomplete. Moncrief there defensively.
Not surprised that Riley went to the corner route to Burnham to the wide field. I'm just looking at this matchup between Nick Marshall and Duron Carter. Marshall right in Carter's hip pocket, and Mike Riley had to go to the field. Back and press again, CC. Down at the bottom.
Lions 50% to the red zone, 6 for 12. And that play halted. Time count violation against BC.
Time count violation. BC, number 13. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Well, coach doesn't like that one. Neither did Riley. Out here makes it difficult.
Not the first time count against an opposing team here.
Exactly.
Back it up 5. First. We check that second and goal for the 15. Here comes Heath. Underneath it goes in. Taken down. There's Elamibian.
Yeah. What a tackle.
Better call Saul.
He doesn't make this tackle, and Rutley probably scores. I mean, he's got to get through one more DB. I believe it was Nick Marshall, but it looked like it might open up for Rutley on this little screen. And just coming from inside out to trip him up from behind. There's Marshall late on in the picture, but I don't know, without Elamibian making that tackle, might have scored there. Riley showing a little of his frustration.
745 tackles for Elamibian as a Lion. Castillo looks for his second field goal of the game. Up and good from 24 yards out. And it's 8-6 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Great start to this one. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. Well, there's the quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders defense, Solomon Elamibian, and with more on him, let's go to the sidelines. Here's Claire Hanna.
Thanks very much, Chris. And the actual quarterback, Cody Fajardo, said that he noticed something very special about Solomon Elamibian when they started practicing together. The quarterback said the linebacker is the only defensive player he's ever practiced against who actually likes to have debriefs with the quarterbacks after practice. Fajardo said Elamibian will remember 3 or 4 or 5 plays even in so much detail, and he'll ask the quarterbacks what they were thinking on those plays. Why did they do them? So I asked Solomon why he does that, and he says, well, to get to that next level, I want to be a student of the game. I want to know what the quarterback's thinking. Was he ad-libbing on that play, or was that a play call? And he thinks that makes him much better in knowing those intricacies of what the quarterback's doing. Guys?
Good idea. Real good idea. CC, I used to...
You're a Fillmore guy.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And even before games, I would walk up to quarterbacks. I remember remember many times walking up to Matt Dunnigan and just trying to ask him questions and talk to him and see if there was any little bit of information that might sneak out that he might mess up and tell me. And Matty, without hesitation, every single time would say, "You never go wrong when you go long," just to plant that seed in my head.
2nd and 7 after that completion to Moore.
Oh, there you go.
Contact there. Gary Peters with the immediate and abrupt stop on Damon Roosevelt, who hangs on.
You know, even the last couple of weeks, I'm watching players understand how the game is changing. This is a nice, solid hit by Gary Peters on Naaman Roosevelt. Head out of there, doesn't head hunt Roosevelt. Shoulder, good solid hit.
3rd and short, and Fajardo in behind Dakota Shipley. Looks like he's got the first down.
I think players are understanding the subtle differences and how to make the game safer, but keep the great physicality in it.
Brady Linnaeus from North Vancouver has checked into the Riders offense. First down just beyond the 45. And to the wide side of the field it goes. Evans shakes a tackle. TJ Lee will pump him out, but it's another Rough Rider first down.
A little out route on timing, and for Anthony Thompson, he's got to get to that outside shade. He gets there a little bit and overcompensates, but he's got to get there because his friends, his teammates, are coming from inside out.
17 for Evans. 2 for 53 in this first quarter. Now Powell straight ahead, not much as he's dragged down at the 44.
Rear cross traffic alert. Don't settle for less than the Nissan Rogue.
Rough Riders with 130 yards of offense so far in this opening quarter. Marcus Thigpen into the game as Powell heads to the sidelines. Newcomer Corey Toomer at defensive end for the BC Lions on 2nd and 6. Flag down. Fajardo over the middle. And it is Thigpen who will have the first down. For the Lions offside.
No, see what this call.
Rider receiver.
Yeah, see what the call was, but boy, the Lions loaded the line of scrimmage there. No disguise. And
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 1. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down. We have one more play in this quarter.
So it is Evans ahead of the snap.
But Fajardo made the right decision and recognized that the blitz was coming from the BC Lions defense. They put Malik Harris up in the line of scrimmage, had full blitz showing on the line. He just dumped it right in behind him. Penalty takes the gain away and the first down away.
Interesting hearing from Fajardo after the game against Calgary, and prior to this one, boy, it's full disclosure, talked about a lack of energy at times that he needed to improve on. That one picked off the hands of the intended target, and Victor Gamboa has his first ever CFL interception. He just checked into the Lion defense, and he comes up with a tip.
This one's on the receiver. I think the ball's a little bit high, but very, very catchable. Let's give credit to the contact and the timing on the contact from the Lions secondary to cause the tip.
Rookie out of Eastern Washington, a school that's supplied so many good Canadian Football League players with an interception to end an entertaining opening quarter here. It's 8-6 Saskatchewan after 15 minutes. Important game for both teams. We expected a good game, and we had a very good first quarter.
Yeah, I know. Look at the right side and see Cody Fajardo with 108-yard passing. I think he's bounced back, and that first quarter was a good one. And coming out of that game against Calgary, when he threw for less than 100 yards. So, it looks like Cody Fajardo feels comfortable again, and has got that confidence back.
What are your sense of Mike Riley? Protection issues, one sack, but looks like he's getting some time.
Yeah, I think they are better up there. I mean, there was the one sack, but he's had a chance to throw the ball deep. Got the big play to Shaq Johnson.
Lions with a first down up at their own 52-yard line. And they'll swing it to Burnham. Brian Burnham into Rough Rider territory and spun down. Moncrief again at the Rough Rider 51.
And some play calling. A little bit of Brandon Rutley involved in the BC offense has helped Mike Riley and slowed that defensive line down for Saskatchewan a little bit. It gives the offensive line a chance to run block and go drive and hit somebody.
John White's got a bit of an ankle issue. He is available, but Rutley 100% and looking sharp so far. They fake to Rutley and Riley now. He put that into traffic, and Katoy comes up with the catch.
I think it surprised Ed Gainey. He thought, what? He didn't just throw that, and by the time he reacted, Riley was caught in between here, wasn't sure if he was going to take off, and then he sees Katoy and tried to just threads that through that needle there. What's the reaction from Ed Gainey? What? Couldn't believe it.
Shanaduo into the game, a middle linebacker for the Rough Riders in place of Elevinian. David Mackey sets up as a tight end. Rutley, the ball carrier, got a crease and runs over Gainey down to the 30.
Just trucks him. Just trucks Gainey. And as a DB, a former DB, this is tough. You just got to brace yourself sometimes and give up your body just to try and get the back down. He's got the advantage. He's got the leverage, full head of steam. Big back in Brandon Rutley. 200 pounds, just got to take a hit like that sometimes.
13 on that carry, averaging almost 9 yards a rush so far. First down, back to Rutley, big hole right side, and got tripped up by Cameron Judge.
I do like the play calling here tonight. You go back to the Calgary game for BC where the Lions had a 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go in Calgary when Nick Arbuckle came and brought back the Calgary Stampeders to win that game. I thought the play calling and the game plan for BC offensively was as good as I've seen it all year. That fell off last week, and Darius Jackson was under the gun a little bit and calling the plays for that Edmonton game.
John White's in here. They fake to White. Burnham again. Yeah, that's a great defensive play by Gainey to take down Burnham short of the first down.
Yeah, good for Gainey to bounce back from that physical hit he took from Rutley when he got trucked a couple plays ago, and then just kind of regroups quickly, let that one go, bounce back, and then comes up and makes a big play on second down.
3rd and 2 at the Rough Rider 22, and Devon Claybrooks not in a gambling mood. He'll send out Castillo and look for the lead with a 3rd consecutive field goal.
Now Danny O'Brien's the holder, backup quarterback.
Oh, what are you saying? Not this time.
Not this time.
29-yarder is good, and BC has a 9-8 lead. Both offenses moving the football. That 3 points, though, coming off a Rough Rider turnover. Rough Rider fans looking for their team to post its first victory over a Western opponent. The Lions looking for the same thing here this afternoon.
Great crowd here tonight. Country theme tonight. Suits me just fine.
Let's take it to the end.
Visitors with a 1-point lead as they hand it off to Powell inside, and a tough run for close to 5. Powell heads into the game 5th in the league in rushing, and looking to be a little more productive on first down in their last game. 10 for 36 on first down.
Well, one of the best backs in the league, Chris, as you know, and I mean, you got that guy in your lineup. You got to get him the football 20 times.
Second and 5. 6 receivers up. Ball in the flat and get loose. Is Corey Watson, his second catch.
Couple missed tackles by Anthony Thompson now, and turned into first downs for Saskatchewan. Corey Watson is the check down. Cody Fajardo has to throw it around the rush. He goes up and around the rush. He's got a guy right in his face. Nice little spin move there. Again, Thompson is trying to get outside leverage and make sure he doesn't let Corey Watson get outside and around him, or he's still running. But he's got to slow him down a little bit, get those legs chopping, and keep his eyes on the waist.
20-yard gain. Tackling been an issue with BC, and an emphasis from Devon Claybrooks. Here's Powell, a stutter step to get a few extra yards. Close to another Saskatchewan first down at the line, 41.
Yeah, you're right again. This tackling issue creeping into this. This time it's Brandon Dozier. Read the play really well. Got up there to limit the gain in a big way and just misses the tackle.
So 2nd and 1, and almost a free play here for Fajardo. Let's see what they do with it. Roosevelt is in motion. They'll hand it off inside. They're going to lose yards.
Yeah, run blitz. Run blitz. They brought down Chris Edwards. Loaded up the line, basically saying if you try and go for the throw on, as you mentioned, the free play, you're going to come with pressure. If you go with a run play to just try and get the first down, the Lions are saying we're taking all the gaps, and from the backside, Chris Edwards runs that play down from behind.
Brett Lowther not ready to go. It's Ferraro again. Gabe Ferraro on 3rd and 3.
Onside. They're onside.
They're going to have an onside goal fake, and it's John Ryan. What a catch! That's his name, Keenan LaFrance.
What a catch.
I've seen John Ryan do that before.
Yeah.
And a huge conversion there. I was just going to say that Ferraro was short from 54 in warm-up. They line up for a 52-yarder, but it was a successful fake.
Well, brilliant play because they've got players on side, so the Lions are trying to adjust to that, and what do? They bring the fake back the opposite direction. John Ryan's the holder, so he's got it. He's done this before. Excellent athlete, but what a catch by Keenan LaFrance. That was thrown behind him. Watch this catch.
There's the officials conferencing here. Not sure what this is about. And they have yet to move the yardsticks. And there may have been an ineligible receiver downfield.
On the previous play, number 27 caught a ball. 27 had been listed by Saskatchewan as one of their eligible players playing ineligible positions, making what we call the card live. The card was live due to the snapper, long snapper. Therefore, we have an ineligible receiver penalty on Saskatchewan, number 27. The 10-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
It's amazing how you can show up to the park and see something you've never seen before. Well, detailed explanation from Al Bradbury. The penalty marks it back 3rd down at the 54-yard line. Ineligible receiver. Is that a bookkeeping issue?
Well, the description is what is puzzling, because it sounded like he was in an ineligible position but declared eligible because he reported. but then became ineligible because the card was live. So we're getting an explanation now.
So Ryan loses his completion and now has to go to work at his regular occupation. With Langford back. And Langford gets this. Missed it at the 10. The football. So there is a no yards flag, and it will be of the 15-yard variety as they job on it after the play.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we're trying to distill the information we got from Al Bradbury on that controversial call, and
well,
sounds to me like a clerical error.
Yeah, the description we're getting here is that before the game, there has to be a card submitted by both coaches to the officials that will take some players and make them ineligible. So Keenan LaFrance was an ineligible player on the card before the game started, and it doesn't matter that he lines up in an eligible position, and he cannot catch a pass if he's on that card, and he was on the card.
Here's Ridley taking the toss. Good pursuit by Charleston Hughes to push him out, maybe create a loss of one. And Hughes incredulous. They're even trying to run his side of the line.
Still getting it done. 35 years young, Charleston Hughes. Sacking every game the last three. Leading the league coming in. Well, we've said that many a year with Charleston Hughes. Leading the league.
Getting his ears back here. Second and 11. Here he comes. Around the edge. Knocks it loose. And does he come up with it? Riley gets it back, but there's vintage Charleston Hughes.
He's got so many tricks. He's got so many different moves. There's the swim move. There's the rip move. There's a great get off the line of scrimmage and just beat your man to the corner. David Foku is having his troubles trying to contain Charleston Hughes. Knocks the ball out of Mike Riley's hand. Now there's been some changes up front in this game. Hunter Stewart is now out. They've had to move Philip Norman to his spot and bring in David Neville.
Josh Bartell sails this. And it's thick pin at the 46 drop. Charleston Hughes now has 2 sacks in the game, 3 2-sack games this season, and a league-leading 7 sacks.
.30-year-old David Foku is trying to slow down Charleston Hughes. Watch one of the moves for Hughes is he's going to use his hands to knock down the hands of Foku. See how he's leaning into him and pushing Foku's hands down. He can't get the hands up in the 3 and the 9 to get in good position to pass block him because Charleston Hughes has knocked his hands down, got him off balance, and then melts the corner.
31st multi-sack game. Sidestepping another run blitz there. Chris Edwards was in the backfield, but Powell able to sidestep that and get a yard or 2.
Lots of discussion on that Saskatchewan sideline in the break about the ineligible player. Got that sorted out. Did see Craig Dickinson go over to Keenan LaFrance and basically say, don't worry about that. You did your part. Clerical error.
Flag down, 2nd and 8. Looks like the Riders might be offside. And the pass caught by Moore. He's contained at the 50-yard line.
That's why you go outside tackling. You got if you're the first guy in the open field, like Chris Edwards was for BC on that play, you take an outside angle and leverage, and even if you don't get him down, you hope you slow him because the pursuit is coming from the inside. One of the most consistent.
Offside, Saskatchewan, 19. Penalties decline. third down.
One of the most consistent players for the Lions this season.
First 2 and out for Saskatchewan in the game, and the punt unit comes on.
What will Charleston Hughes bring this time? We've seen him knock the hands down. I've seen a spin move and a bull rush. He's got a bunch of tricks in that bag.
Another single, and the Rouge will knot the score at 9 apiece. We do have a flag down. It's back at the line of scrimmage.
Good decision by Langford, though, even though it tied the game. Field position more important than that point at this juncture.
Well, the ball is in flight. Holding BC, number 44. Saskatchewan is elected to apply this penalty at the 10-yard, back 5 to the 5-yard line, no point.
So even when you give up a single, you can't hold. Look at Charleston Hughes and sacks against opposing quarterbacks, and guess who he's got more than anybody? Yeah. Mike Riley, who's a runner, too. I mean, Riley can run the ball very well. Henry Burris can tell you about that guy.
Penalty against Isaiah Guzlak-Messam takes the single off the board. BC still has the lead, but they might rather have had the single because they're backed up at their own 5.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I mean. You know, even you give it up, you can't hold. They don't look away on that penalty even if you give up the single.
John White in behind Riley. He'll take the handoff.
Hughes again. He's just owning it right now. Charleston Hughes is dominating. This time he gets up. And watch him use his hands to shed the block. Right in the backfield in a flash. For offensive and defensive linemen, the hands are so important. Quick hands for defensive linemen can get those blockers' hands away from them in a hurry. And then the quarterback's in trouble.
5 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. And we've not hit halftime yet. They'll screen it, and that's incomplete. Intended for Rutley. Dragged down by Elimimian. And a quick 2 and out for the Lions deep in their own zone.
Yeah, and this is even another play by Hughes because on a screen play like this, Mike Riley needs a 2 count at the line of scrimmage. And he doesn't get it from Foku. You see how he just runs right by him? Riley needs David Foku to hold him for a couple of seconds there so that he can let the blocking set up in front of Brandon Rutley. Hughes is dominant.
Third 2 and out for BC. The Roughrider return man standing in BC territory. Bartel will give up the safety instead, and now it's a Saskatchewan 10-9 lead.
What Devon Claybrooks and the BC Lions are going to have to do is either go tight end and widen the edge on Charleston Hughes, or have Brandon Rutley in the passing game come up and chip on Hughes. If they start to overload that way or slide to 39, that means it's a one-on-one for Micah Johnson, AC Leonard on the backside.
Jason Shivers and Hughes cooking up more pressure on that Rough Rider sideline, and Mike Riley back to the tablet as well to see if they can come up with some answers.
You know, I've liked the game plan from Jarius Jackson tonight so far when he got Rutley involved in the run game, especially in the first quarter, and now he's got to figure out a way to slow that edge rush from Charleston Hughes. Even if it means sliding that way and leaving the backside, possibly getting Mike Riley out on the edge, get him out on the run. I know it cuts the field in half, that's the downside, but they've got to do something to contain 39.
So Castillo kicks it away, a line drive boot. by Purifoy. Cody Fajardo, 9 of the 11 so far, 140 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Third interception of the year.
Got Manny Arsenal down at the tight end spot right there in this formation.
And the ball carrier, Thigpen, wrestled to the turf immediately.
Great
the middle
block.
linebacker, Jordan Hurtman-Reed.
What a great block, Chris, by Manny Arsenal. He's got to try and block Odell Willis. He lines up down in that tight end spot. He hasn't caught a pass yet, I don't believe, in this one tonight. But now he's asked to get in there and get physical with the defensive end and battle to give your running back a chance. And even Odell Willis said, hey, nice job. You got me there.
2nd and 9. Pocket collapsing. Underneath it goes. Moore's got it. Going to be short of the first down at the 48. Looks like he's 2 yards shy. Malik Harris. And again, Hurtman-Reed in on the tackle. And Greg Dickinson's got a close-up look at what's needed.
I don't know. That's a full 2. Maybe even pushing 3. He's going punt team for sure.
John Ryan sent back out. So back-to-back 2 and outs for the Roughriders.
Help us out on 11. Hey, alert 36.
Langford standing at the BC 10. Final play before the warning. Every time Ryan punts, you can hear a gasp and ooh and ah. And a flag comes down as Langford steps out at the 16-yard line.
That'll be no yards, and that'll be the 15-yarder. Langford got under that.
No yards. Number 42, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Moncrief called for no yards. That'll improve the field position. Charleston Hughes heading back to his office with a 10-9 lead late first half.
3 minutes to halftime. Who's putting the heat on Mike Riley this time? We're going to talk about Charleston Hughes and that pressure up front. That little rift between 2 ex-teammates, Nick Marshall and Deron Carter. Yes, and Slurpee Boy wants to judge his list of the top running backs in the CFL. We'll do that at the half. CC Suits?
I may take a couple, but
Yeah, there's lots in this first half, isn't there, Rod?
Bringing in the fullback.
Rutley, nothing doing. Rutley taken down. McHenry along with Moncrief that time.
The Lions on first down brought in David Mackey. Now he's going out, and Shaq Johnson comes back in this second and long situation. I'm not sure they may not in the second half go with that fullback to try and slow down Charleston Hughes.
Lions had some success early in the game on the ground, but that's been shut down now by the Roughriders. Riley 7 of 10 for 86 so far. Here they come. He'll step out of there and take off, and Riley gonna run for a first down and hit the deck in front of Solomon Means. First run for Mike Riley on the day.
Here it is. Here's the adjustment, Chris. Watch Charleston Hughes. They bring in Javon Catoy here. There's the chip. That's to help Foucault slow 39 down. You got to do something when a guy's dominating the way he has, and there's the adjustment.
And Catoy brings size at 6'5", 230, 15-yard run by Riley, and a first down up at the 42. And now going to take a shot, and he's got Brian Burnham working against Nick Marshall. And a flag in the Lion backfield, roughing the quarterback as well.
I'm not sure if this wasn't Hughes on a spin move. He spins inside. I think he got low. And then we'll go down and show you the catch. Here's Hughes here. He's going to go deep into the bag of tricks with a spin
Major
move.
foul, roughing the passer, Saskatchewan.
It is Hughes that goes down and gets low on Mike Riley. That's a penalty. So that'll add on to the play. Can't go below the knees on the quarterback. And now let's take a look at the battle with Nick Marshall down the field. Brian Burnham. Guys did a feature on contested catches, the 50-50 ball. Burnham, one of the best in the business at winning.
38-yard play. Burnham with catches in 70 consecutive games since the second trip to the red zone for the Lions, who settled for 3 the first time. First and 10 from the 14. And the hitch to Burnham. Looks for his first touchdown of the year, and Brian Burnham taken out short of the first down. Purifoy, a former Lion, hanging on.
See how a play like that from Burnham. Purifoy's a little banged up, but a play like that, you saw Shaq Johnson's response after his teammate gave you the second effort.
Second and 2. Riley trying to sneak for the first down, and he should be close. Check the flag as they unpile.
Well, they don't get it. I'm sure Devon Claybrooks goes again anyway.
The inches.
Too many men, Saskatchewan. Half distance to goal comes first down.
Won't matter.
From PLS.
Right in here, watch. Oh, excuse me, he's right here. Yeah, he's just trying to get out. I can't get the number from this point, but he started. Mac Henry. He started right in the interior of the D line, and then realized he wasn't on that short yardage defensive team and didn't get off the field in time.
First and goal from the 3 with Burnham in motion. John White in the backfield. And it's Riley keeping quarterback option, and Elimimian stuffed that.
There was no read for Riley on the zone read play. And the reason for it is because the safety, Mike Edom, comes down, and now they're outnumbered. So he wants to option here at the end. There's Solomon Elimimian and Edom means they're outnumbered there, and now he just doesn't have a read, so he tries to get what he can.
Lost one. It's second and goal from the 4. Runley back in. Riley pumps. Looks the other way. Anybody open? Jump ball. Flag down. He intended for Carter. Elimimian was there. And a flag tossed in the end zone.
Defensive pass interference, Saskatchewan. Number 15. This took place in goal. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
Safety Mike Edom draws the flag.
Try and find Mike Edom for you. There's Carter. He reacted as if he was the guy that was grabbed. Inside move. There's Edom. Well, you see a little bit of a tug on the jersey. I'm not sure if it's enough. We'll see on the challenge, but there has to be clear evidence to overturn that there wasn't a penalty. Craig Dickinson wants him to take another look.
Well, the Riders defenders after
the previous penalty had been upgraded from illegal contact to defensive pass interference. This isn't knowledge to the coach of Saskatchewan. He can't challenge it at this point. He's taking his challenge back. No challenge gone.
Well, he can't challenge it, but
It's upgraded because the ball was thrown to Duran at the end of the play. So it's upgraded from illegal contact. I'm not sure even if he got the challenge, though, he would have won, because stop it right there. I mean, you back it up a bit, guys. You'll see that as soon as the jersey pulls, stop it there. You're going to see the jersey pull right there. And usually when the jersey or the T-shirt comes back like that, they're not going to overturn it. Even though it was minimal.
Riley stretches and breaks the plane. It's a Lion touchdown. Well, the pass interference penalty sets up the touchdown for Mike Riley, his second of the season. So 15-10. Surprised the Lions with a 5-point lead would not go for two. And Castillo makes it a 6-point advantage.
And I'll explain why. If you pull the jersey or pull the T-shirt like that, if they overturn that one time, the precedent is then set to try and judge. Was it a full pull? Was it a little bit of a pull on the jersey? Was it a subtle pull? Was it a, and you can't do that. So as soon as you see that happen, they're not going to overturn it.
As it was.
Exactly. But that didn't get them down to scoring range. The big play that got them down to scoring range, the Lions, was the penalty in combination with a great catch from Brian Burnham right down the sideline. And then tack on the penalty from Charleston Hughes on the low hit on Mike Riley. And Hughes had a great game so far tonight. That sets up Mike Riley in the touchdown.
Devon Claybrooks decided it was such tough slogging to get into the end zone. They wouldn't try the 2 points. An 8-play, 83-yard touchdown drive. 20 yards of penalties. But the Lions have a 6-point advantage here in the final minute of the first half. Big Pen on the run, breaks loose, and he's gone. Open road for Marcus Thigpen. And it's the 8th kick return touchdown of the year in the CFL.
No flags.
For Marcus Thigpen, it's the first Saskatchewan kick return touchdown of 2019.
Boy, this is what you love about Canadian football, is that any given play, the field is so big, the players so fast that it can turn and the momentum can switch in one play, and Thigpen grabs it back for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Kind of bob and weave and dance through the line for a little bit of it, and then he bounced outside and kicked in the Jets.
Officially a 100-yard return. The convert from Ferraro, and it's 17-16.
Example of great vision as he hits the hole, breaks an arm tackle, bobbing and weaving in traffic, and then here he goes. Afterburners, goodbye. You don't coach that. You just watch and admire.
Third career kick return touchdown for Marcus Thigpen. And the BC Lion lead didn't last long. did it. 14 seconds.
I think they're having a little fun here tonight.
See what Langford's got. And Langford trying to get outside. A cut back. Oh, look out. Cut right into the traffic. That's Brian Bennett.
Yeah.
Number 3 quarterback with the tackle.
A kickoff cover team not giving up, going down there. Langford makes a miss one time right there. He goes inside and then he keeps with it. When he cut back, he got him from behind. Nice hit.
And almost knocked that ball loose.
Matty would have been great on the team.
Yeah.
Matt Dunnigan on the cover team.
Wonder how much he lobbied for that.
I bet he did. I'm not sure if I could see Hank on the cover team, but I can see Matty on the cover team.
And another time count. Or is it procedure?
Time count violation. BC, number 13. 10-yard penalty. Marines first down. That should be half the distance. Half the distance goal.
Mark back to the 11.
Visiting team here in this stadium and in Winnipeg. I'd say that as well, but for sure in this stadium can count on a couple of time counts.
Well, that's 2 already. Riley to Rutley. Brandon Rutley up to the 25-yard line, but much time left here in the opening half.
No, but that's a pressure breaker. That's a blitz breaker. A little pressure up front. Saskatchewan sending it, trying to get him in a hole. Charleston Hughes getting a little bit of a rest as we go into halftime here, but that's a blitz speeder to get Rutley out of the backfield.
Earl Kine, a newcomer, in for Hughes in this last series. Riley's gonna load it up, and there's Carter up near midfield, but time has expired. The end of an entertaining, hard-fought opening 30 minutes. Important game for both teams, and you can tell. Let's find out what the panel thinks. Here are the guys. Welcome back to Regina on a beautiful Saskatchewan Saturday night. How about 6 lead changes in the opening half? It's 17-16 in favor of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Claire Hanna is standing by with Mike Riley.
Mike, you're trailing by just 1 in the half. What was the message at halftime?
Just got to come out and be physical in the second half. I mean, it was a fight in the first half. We expected that. The crowd's going to be part of the game in the second half, but if we come out with a more physical team in the second half, we'll be just fine.
You knew it was going to be a battle in the trenches. They've gotten to you 3 times. How does the team adjust that way?
I mean, I'm not worried about that at all. They're playing hard. We're playing hard. Again, that's why it's a tight game. So we're going to work on just executing our game plan. We go from there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, he's continued to take punishment and now has been sacked 20 times on the season. And this guy responsible for most of the heat in Mike Riley's kitchen tonight.
Well, and the thing I'll say about the BC counterpunch is that they are getting Brandon Rutley going. I mean, 9 carries in the first half, 51 yards rushing. That has alleviated a little bit of pressure, but still too much. Mike Riley mentioned it in that interview, saying we've got to be the more physical team. We're the more physical team in the second half. Everything will fall into place.
yards for Mike Riley on that last-minute possession. Gives him 173 for the first half. And just waiting for the clock to count down so we can get set with the second half here off the foot of Sergio Castillo. And again, it will be Lucius Prudhoe who leads the CFL in average kick return yardage. And up over the 35-yard line. So there's Fajardo, just 2 incompletions in that opening half.
I thought he had a real good first quarter. Some adjustments made defensively. Got a couple big plays out of his receivers. Shaq Evans, a primary target. Adjustments made by the Lions in the second quarter, and that slowed the rhythm a little bit of Cody Fajardo, but all in all, a pretty good first half.
Comes out throwing to start the second half, and as Corey Watson once again. Watson making his third catch of the game.
That one interception he threw went through the hands of a receiver, bounced up, and on the tip drill was intercepted by the Lions.
Just about spot on.
Yeah, exactly.
Said he got antsy in the pocket against Calgary. Tried to force some things. Looked composed. Looked a lot like the guy who was the quarterback for the Starts that had 790 yards in his first 2. And another completion. TJ Lee with the tackle as Corey Watson has 4 in the game after just 5 in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Still haven't thrown yet in Manny Arsenault's direction. He's been playing that wide side. We've seen him down at the slot. He's down at the bottom on this play.
And Manny with catches in 101 consecutive games in the CFL. On the ground here for Powell.
I found out something recently about Manny Arsenault. I ran into Manny Arsenault at Craven. Wow. Craven is a country festival just outside of town here, and in the break we talked and I said, Manny, you're a country music fan. I didn't know that. He goes, oh, I've loved country music since that whoa, 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 whoa. You know that song? And I said, yeah, you're talking about Springsteen from Eric Church. He goes, yeah, I Googled whoa, 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 country and found Eric Church.
Fajardo hit as he delivered low, intended for Shaq Evans. Devon Coleman with the heat on the quarterback. So the Manny show's got a little country flair.
He does. I guess he can two-step. And looking for that first catch to keep the streak alive. But this is a guy that's going to do more than the production in yards. He's going to be that calming influence on the bench, the young receivers.
John Ryan averaged 54 yards a punt in the first half.
You know what song I was talking about, right? Springsteen?
I needed some help.
Yeah, Eric Church? Okay. Hit the break. I'll Google it for you.
Blast by Ryan into the end zone. That's his third rouge. And it's a 2-point Saskatchewan lead. Mike Riley gets set for his first possession of the second half, down by 2.
Sacks in Edmonton. It was ugly again with 5 sacks given up. In total, 20 sacks. When you look at today's numbers and add the 3, 20 sacks given up, 81 pressures total. Just tough to operate an offense when you're on your back.
Tough to get up the next day after that kind of punishment. On a roll here to the wide side check. Johnson bumped out by Purifoy, but it's a BC first down.
Talked to Steve Daniel, the head of the stats department in the Canadian Football League, about last week's game in Edmonton, and 80% of the time that Mike Riley was in shotgun or in that drop back spot in the pocket, he was either pressured or sacked or hit. 80% of the time. That means only 2 out of 10 plays he had a chance to complete a pass downfield. That's been their issue. Better tonight because of play calling, but they're still giving up too much pressure.
Here's Rentley off the right side, nothing doing. He gets stuck right at the line of scrimmage. And Elimimian on the tackle.
There's Mike Riley and how many he's taken this year. Look at almost double the next closest to Nick Arbuckle and Vernon Adams, and that's up to date, including what happened in today's game earlier.
That's not looking after your most valuable asset.
Well, in the bigger picture, it could shorten his career if it continues all season.
Second and 9. That time there, the slant complete. Jack Johnson's got another BC first down into Saskatchewan territory.
Now here is a technique for offensive linemen that they just say, you know what, if we're having trouble handling our guys, cut them. Wait, go up, and just cut them. And that gets a defensive lineman thinking. You see across the board, guys going low, and the O-line just trying to chop the legs out for his defensive lineman.
Completion to Johnson. Back on the ground to Rutley. Following the block of Brian Burnham. Down to the 43 and a 5-yard pickup.
So if David Foku goes out there at tackle and he's up against Charleston Hughes, he's cut him twice now in this second half. So Hughes' game plan in his mind right now is, okay, if you're going to cut me like this in both, watch this, he's cutting him now, going for the legs. Now if you're going to cut him like that, now Hughes says, I'm going to make a move around you. You go down that low that quickly, I'll be straight at your quarterback.
Second and 6, Lamar Durant without a catch so far tonight. He'll stay on the ground. Rutley's going to run for the first down. Right up the middle.
So now, but this is the upside for Foku, and we'll get back, but I am loving this trench battle. Foku now has, because of the back-to-back cut plays, he has Charleston Hughes dancing. Now Hughes just danced on that play. He didn't get up, he didn't get into a pass rush move. He just said, okay, you didn't cut me, but now he slowed him fast enough. So mission accomplished for 68 in the game plan early. Let's see how it continues.
3 first downs on the drive for BC. Back to Rutley again off the right side. Ran into one of his own blockers on the play. And dropped at the 26. Close to 7 more. So Rutley up to 73 rushing yards in the game. Second and 4. Still on the they fake to White, and here's a catch for Katoy. And Javon Katoy has his second catch of the game and another PC first down.
Nice adjustments here. Again, using misdirection a little bit to slow the pass rush, get the ball out of Mike Riley's hands quickly. Katoy starts here and then shoots out the other side. That freezes the D-line for a second. Riley dumps it to him. Play on first down.
Third trip to the red zone for BC. 1 for 2 at field goal and a touchdown on their last trip. John White in the backfield. On the waggle, Burnham. Dig inside. And there is Durant with his first catch. And dropped at the 10. So a short gain for Durant to a touchdown to the first 4 games of the year for BC.
Yeah, Moncrief sniffed that one out. He saw the misdirection, and now it's worked. It's worked here. Go ahead and run it. Watch all the movement we got. Durant going one way, John White going the other. Moncrief beats the pick play or rub play in BC's perspective from Brian Burnham. Beats the block and makes the tackle.
At the 5, he'll be 2 to 3 yards short of the first down. And likely Castillo will come on.
I hear you, but it took a second for Devon Claiborne.
He did think about it, didn't he?
It took a second.
But 3 points gives you the lead back.
No, I think in these tight games, you take the points when you can get them. But he thought about it.
And in this case, I'd call it 2.5. The 7th lead change of the game. 19-18 BC here, just shy of 9 minutes in the third quarter.
It's BC Lions Family Day. Meet Iron Man, Spider-Man, and the Paw Patrol gang.
Kids' tickets are $10.
The first 3,000 kids in get a lunch bag. And when you buy a ticket to the game, you get one free admission to the P&E Fair. Visit bclions.com.
These two teams meet again next week at BC Place Stadium. Been a good one here tonight. Lions back in the lead by 1. Saskatchewan will start at their 35, and a good run here by Powell. Close to 7. But you've had a kick return touchdown in the game. Interesting that Craig Dickinson has opted for the 35 after field goals and not sent that kick return unit back out.
Yeah, when you have one, and you have Thigpen in your lineup, it'd be tempting. But this controls the clock a little bit, gets his offense out there, and he wants to put some first downs together. And
I hope we don't have more clerical stuff.
Yeah, they're checking the card.
We learned a new rule in the first half. I did not know that if you had an eligible number, you still could be ineligible.
Well, I knew about the card and I knew about reporting. But if you have an ineligible number and you report and in an eligible position, then it completely changes. But an eligible number on that card is ineligible, even if he lines up in a tight end position or receiver position and he can't catch the pass.
Well, we know William Powell's eligible.
Absolutely.
He just ran for 6, but there seems to be some issue.
They're talking to the command center, get things straight.
I don't know if anybody's getting a red card. Double checking to make sure the right ratio of Canadians always on the field. Fake to Powell, quarterback keeper by Fajardo for a first down. Up across the 45. Herdman Reed the tackle.
There comes Thigpen, his first down. Design run play or option to run for Cody Fajardo on the last one. Now Thigpen's in the backfield with him.
5 tackles for Herdman Reed, who came in 3rd in the league. Now up to 32. Marcus Thigpen in the backfield. 4 receivers near side. They're looking that way for the hitch. And Kyron Moore back into traffic and gets to midfield, close to another first down.
Boy, they had some options there, Saskatchewan, because Thigpen was open on the wide side of the field with tons of room in a one-on-one. Now, Cody Fajardo decided to go the other way. Thigpen's right there. He runs an out route, and he's got lots of space. They go to the designed hitch play to Kyron Moore.
And you saw Malik Harris, who was lining up for the tackle and just went down. Something happened to Malik Harris, and he's getting attention, so we'll step aside with 4:34 remaining here in the third quarter at Mosaic. Malik Harris helped to the sidelines. Looks like a hip issue. This was the play previous, 31.
It looked like he landed on his hip. He grabbed that right hip immediately, and then the last play right here, he just goes down on his own. The hip was bothering him, so they're going to give him some attention on the sideline, and they'll juggle things. Looks like Dozier's going to stay at his safety spot.
Isaiah Guzlak-Messam comes in for the Harris spot, and William Powell finds a hole and runs for the first down. So the Roughriders on the march here down to the BC 48.
Yeah, and Roughriders coaching staff immediately see the mismatch here. They've got Guzlak-Messam in at linebacker now. He's a little light in the backside, meaning that he's going to get pushed around by those offensive linemen in the next level, and you can see Dan Clark driving him.
Thought he might move to safety and Dozier down, but Dozier remains in the most important spot of the defense. Fajardo running out of time, running out of the pocket, and running for first down. He'll slide down inside the 30-yard line. Cody Fajardo, a 20-yard run, and a Rough Rider first down.
Junior Luke cuts inside really tight here, and he gets caught up with his own teammate. And when he does that, he opens a run lane. He gets caught in there with Davon Coleman. That opens a run lane for Cody Fajardo, and then he's out in the open field. He's a good athlete, can run well, and he gets out in space.
Carries 32 yards for Fajardo, and Junior Luke remains down after that last play. So another Lion getting attention. And this drive continues for the Rough Riders after this timeout.
UBC's Dakota Shepley is coming into his own. He's the guy who washes Junior Luke down. Luke's right here. He's going to make contact here and then get washed down inside to open the running lane. Watch 64, Dakota Shepley here. He's getting into a pass rush looking mode, and now he's going to just wash down 91, keep him right out of his lane, open up a spot for Cody Fajardo to go. He's coming into his own. They knew he'd be a good one. Dakota Shepley. Versatile, plays with an edge.
First down, Rough Riders. Pressure coming, and the ball batted down on the halfback blitz from Aaron Grimes.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble when you do it. Grimes knows it. If you jump and the quarterback pump fakes and goes around you, you can look silly here. But he gambled right that time.
Second and 10, just inside the Lion 30. Here they come again. Fajardo got it away, but that looked like it was tipped, and a flag comes down. And roughing the passer against Ibo Ogundeko as he cut Fajardo low.
Another low hit on a quarterback. Ogundeko.
Major foul, roughing the passer, BC, number 24. Half distance goal, automatic first down.
I'm not sure it was 24. May have the wrong number. Now, Chris Edwards is on the blitz. No, it is the wrong number. It was 93. Doesn't matter if you stumble. Doesn't matter if you get blocked into him. You can't go low on the quarterback.
So the Riders in the red zone for the first time in the game. They drop BC offside.
And you know what happens when you get a penalty like that? We've seen it both sides. Remember when Charleston Hughes got the penalty? You know what that got him? Time beside the head coach. Ogundeko right now is standing beside Devon Claybrooks.
Offside, BC, number 53. By penalty remains first down.
A tight game, 1-point game. You get a penalty like that, you get time beside the head coach.
And that's not quality time.
No, you don't want that time.
First and 5 after the penalty. Like Fajardo's changed the play. Blitz coming. Ball out. Incomplete. intended for Evans. Through his hands, 2nd and 5.
Boy, it is such a timing game. That's the right decision on a blitz beater. You see the frustration. You got to get the ball out quick because you can't block them all. It's full blitz. So it's quick release. The placement's got to be there. That's catchable by Evans, but it's got to be low and inside here, and he knows it. He had to throw around the rush.
Duszak massive, applying the pressure. Big play upcoming. Fake to Powell, and Fajardo will run for the first down.
It looked like the BC Lions were going to have a run blitz there that was going to basically take away all the gaps. And again, the big boys up front, they took a couple of Lions and blew them apart to get that gap. Go ahead and run it. They've got the line of scrimmage loaded with Aaron Grimes coming in too. Aaron Grimes with Shepley, and it's Dakota Shepley getting that lead block out there again.
Dozier the tackle, the 11th play coming. First and goal. And a quarterback option touchdown. Cody Fajardo.
Shepley over to, like Fajardo limped a little bit at the end of that.
On the limp a bit. I think he was on the previous play as well. Long drive, he punches it in on the 11th play. And we have our 8th lead change of the day.
Again, another interesting trench war on that drive. Dakota Shepley has made 3 or 4 key blocks. Another one there. Shepley gets the helper.
And 25-19 after the convert. 11 plays, 75 yards in 4:59.
That might have been on that roughing the passer call that Cody Fajardo is kind of, he toughed it out. Let's take a look at the roughing the passer. That was a good sequence for Dakota Shepley, maybe his best as a rider. Here's the low hit, and it was right on that calf that seems to be bothering him now. But man, big 64 has had himself a great series right there. Coming into his own nicely. 24-year-old Dakota Shepley, 6'4", 310 pounds. He was moving people up front.
He's also known as Omega Red from the Deadpool movie.
Yes, he is.
We're trying to make it Omega Green.
Set up by the penalty bit, Ogundeko.
Samanais, who's back on this kick return. And Samanais reaches the 30. A flag comes down on the near side of the field.
Physical. Mike Riley said it. Which team is going to be more physical in the second half? So what do the Riders do? They go to the run game. They let the guys up front go out and eat. They just say, let's go. Let's root this one out by getting the big boys on people, big on big, and getting our guys just running. Run play after run play. Penalty gets him down inside the green zone. 46 rushing yards on the drive. Dakota Shepley led the way, but Dan Clark with a couple of key blocks. That was one up front, that one.
Cody Fajardo said last game was not up to his standards, but he's bounced back in a big way. And we talked about how many changes on both offensive lines, but it's been a good night for Dakota Shepley.
I think Ryan Reynolds would make the change, wouldn't he? Call him Green Man, or what was it again?
Omega Green, right?
Not Green Man.
Riley over the middle, catch is made, and that's the fullback David Mackey.
Okay, Mike Riley, what do you got? What do you got to come and match a physical series up front?
been an anything you can do, I can do better kind of scheme, hasn't it been?
Absolutely.
Could be the final play of the third quarter. Play action fake. Dumped it around for Burnham, and that's a great, sure tackle by Angini. And they stop Burnham short.
It's short, but how
Close,
short?
yeah.
How short? Because that spot looks like it may be right at a yard or
Might be under a yard, but Devon Claybrooks is going to have the break after the third quarter to think about a gamble here on third and a yard or maybe less. What a game. 8 lead changes, and right now the home side with a 6-point lead after 3 quarters. Saturday night slugfest at Mosaic. Here are the stats through 45 minutes.
Well, I'm looking at the rushing yards because I'm loving this trench game and down to the fundamentals of football where the most physical team will win, and both teams are taking their turns. It's punch, counter punch in this one down in the trenches. Saw a great first half from Charleston Hughes. Dakota Shepley led the offensive line for Saskatchewan on the long rushing drive in that last one. So, I mean, this is fundamental football at its best.
Maybe the biggest edge on that stats board is 3-0 in sacks for Saskatchewan. Charleston Hughes has 2. Devon Claybrooks mentioning he coached Hughes and Micah Johnson when they were young pups. They measured its 3.5 yard. And at a critical juncture in the game, the punt team will come on. Or will it? No, Mike Riley, excuse me. Riley's still there.
Yeah, no, they're going to go ahead.
They're going to go for it on 3.5 yards, which is not normally a huge gamble except where they are on the field, just beyond their 24. Rooting down Riley with a good push.
Oh, yeah. You see how low that O-line got there? I mean, they get down and just start grinding. Look how low this group is. They're down in the 4-point stance. The 2 hands on the ground, low as you can. Charleston Hughes just gets the feet and legs taken out from underneath him.
Hey, back it up, back it up.
Textbook stuff.
It is. This has been fun.
The catch, but Derek Moncrief's been all over the field, hasn't he?
Yeah, made another tackle there. I want to show you something, though, that they may come back to the Lions. That's Rutley coming out of the backfield, and Charleston Hughes is going to peel off to try and cover him. Now, Rutley on Hughes in the open field is advantage offense. They didn't throw it on that play. Moncrief makes the play to put him in second and long, but don't be surprised if BC tries to go back and try and get that same matchup with Rutley in the open field on Charleston Hughes.
They have to get this play off. They do. Second and long. Riley tied. Got Burnham to midfield. And Burnham with a big first down. 13th consecutive completion for Mike Riley.
Well, David Foku has had a pretty tough night tonight, but tell you what, he steps up here and gives Riley a chance because he gets into that thing where he checks for the blitzer and he takes Mike Edam and pushes him wide to have a little lane there provided to Riley so he could step up, make this throw over the middle to Brian Burnham.
Brandon Rutley's been shaken up on the play. Brian Burnham's 7th catch for 89 yards. And Rutley getting attention. While he gets work done, we'll step aside early 4th quarter.
You are the hard-working, the hopeful, the dedicated, the defenders. This is where you belong. This is where we unite.
So John White checks in for the injured Brandon Rutley.
Wiseman out there right in the huddle for you. Our camera guy on the move.
White has yet to carry the football in this game. And a reset, and it looked like Philip Norman out of his stance. And that'll be procedure.
BC, number 50, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And replacing Suk Chung.
Those ones hurt. Those are just kind of kicks to the solar plexus. They just sort of take the wind out of your sail when you're coming out of a break. And now you're looking at 1st and 15.
And gives his crowd a chance to amp it up. Here's White's first carry of the game, and to the 53. The second and long.
And big down here. I would suggest that the old football saying that it comes down to 4 or 5, I would suggest this is one of them. Lots of time left, but
second and 12, and they're both 12 to 15 from scoring.
Exactly.
Range for Sergio Castillo. Four-man rush. They're coming. And it's knocked out of the hand by Charleston Hughes again. Who's got the football? Hughes around the corner once again in a dominant night.
yeah, it was. No chip on Hughes this time. I think it was Deron Carter that was the receiver close to be able to chip him right here. This is Charleston Hughes, and this time it's not on Foucault. It's on Brett Boyko on the left tackle side, and he goes all the way around the horn and then comes back around and gets Mike Riley from behind.
It's like BC maintained possession. The punt team will come on, but what a monster night for Charleston Hughes. Second forced fumble, 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and still over 11 minutes remaining.
It's a pretty good night.
That's a pretty good night. Almost a good month for some. Well, that one cool. Kyron Moore bouncing back. No yards, but of the 5-yard variety. And credited with his 3rd sack of the game. So the 9th time in his career, Charleston Hughes with the sack trick.
For man, one giant leap for mankind. Inspired a nation, really.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, not the Neil Armstrong from the Canadian Football League, and not
Warren Moon. Although he was pretty good. The Eagle has landed, not this Eagle Keys, but well, we have a lot of time on our hands. Our truck,
rocket, yeah.
Yeah. Our truck has some
well, this is
time to get creative.
All new to us. Bad moonrise. Okay.
The moon reference. Whoa! Former BC Lion Apollo Creed.
He was Apollo 55, not Apollo 11.
You know that in that scene on the beach with Rocky and him running on the beach together? Remember that scene?
Yep.
He had to slow down to let Rocky be him. He has that football in him. There's a catch by Manning.
First catch. As a Saskatchewan Roughrider, they stringed out of 102 consecutive games. And the fans give him a welcome to Saskatchewan cheer. But Neil Armstrong, there was a Neil Armstrong, a long-time successful coach in the 60s in the Canadian Football League. Not the first man on the moon. Here's Fajardo pitching, and a catch for Evans, and a first down. Roughriders moving back into BC territory, and trying to put themselves in position to make it a 2-score lead.
Yeah, that's a gut check throw for Cody Fajardo, because there was traffic there. You see Messam sitting there in the zone. He had on the outside, I believe it was Gary Peters closing quickly. Gut check throw for Fajardo.
First down at the BC 50. Gonna take a shot here. Got Evans behind. Brings it down. Had a step on Gary Peters. And he's got his third 100-yard receiving game of the season.
Jack Evans is showing tonight he's got some hops, he's got some jump. I mean, he can get up there. This is the second time he's gone up and snatched that out of the air. Double move. That gets Gary Peters in the chase position. Now he's just trying to scramble. I like his vertical.
36-yard connection. Fajardo up to 228 yards passing. First down, Roughriders. They empty it out, and a quarterback draw for Cody Fajardo down inside the 5.
He sells it. He sells the draw by switching his shoulders to the receiver. Watch him sell it. Throwing his like he's going to throw the hitch, and then he comes up through the middle. That gives his blockers up front a chance to open up a hole for him. Sold it nicely.
Ran for 11, has 53 yards rushing in the game. Only 72 in the first 4 games. And now first and goal from the 3. William Powell. William Powell to the goal line. Touchdown. Whistle sounded. We do get a signal.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of Lions a little confused as to why the play sounded like it stopped. I thought I heard a whistle too. Did any BC Lions stop? There was no question a whistle. Looked like his forward progress had stopped before the ball had crossed the plane.
The whistle sounded about here. Did it break the plane there?
Well, there he might have broke the plane.
Plane anyway.
But the signal for touchdown came in the second effort after that whistle.
After the whistle sounded.
It's been reviewed, and they're going for the 2-point convert.
Trying to make it a 14-point lead. Pressure coming. And that one intercepted. Davon Coleman's got it. Leapfrog one, but is run out of bounds. Isaiah Guzlak miss him with the deflection, so the 2-point convert is no good. But William Powell's touchdown makes it the biggest lead of the day. 31-19 Saskatchewan.
Coors Light answering the call. We asked, can BC's offensive line protect Mike Riley this time? Well, you be the judge. 4 sacks allowed, 3 by Charleston Hughes, and 96 rushing yards. Third down efficiency, 1 for 1. Penalties, though, 1 for 5. Back to Chris and Glenn.
Thank you, Rod. 5 plays, 74 yards, and William Powell caps it with his third rushing touchdown of the year. Roughriders by 12 with half the fourth quarter remaining. And Langford cut down. Nice defensive.
Let's go back and
there by Dyshawn Davis, a former BC Lion.
Yeah, nice tackle. Let's go back to that touchdown. I'm sure Lions fans are wondering about that whistle, and this is the great benefit of the review automatically on scoring plays and our in real-time communication with the command center back in Toronto. They explained quickly that he crossed the plane on the first attempt. The whistle blew because he had crossed the plane, and the only problem was the hands went up a little bit late from the official on the signal of a touchdown, but Powell had crossed it.
Lions need an answer. 4-man rush, burn it loose. Ryan Burnham's got a first down, so a good start for BC here. Up to the 39, tripped up by Moncrief.
Yeah, they got to use the clock now. Mike Riley's going to call the plays on the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to deliver the bad news for the BC offensive line. It's not going to get easier from here on out because that Saskatchewan D-line, they understand now that Riley's got to throw the football.
Micah Johnson down and getting attention. As as they check his left knee. Mike Riley, by the way, 14 consecutive completions now. Saw Matt Nichols last night set a Bomber record with 19 consecutive.
There's Micah Johnson. He tries a spin move up here. He steps up and he's working on Philip Norman, goes inside, and then looks like his knee just locked or pinched there. Relatively quiet night for him inside, but that's, if he can eat up 2 or 3 blocks, that leaves Charleston Hughes in the one-on-ones he's taking advantage of.
So again, Earl O'Kine comes in. Micah Johnson had not been credited with the defensive stat, but again, in a team game, he's taking the double team.
Often they do that in the interior. O'Kine's a big man. You're looking at 6'7", 280, his replacement.
Saw a highlight of him in the Alliance, and he can move too. So 1st and 10 again, John White in the backfield for Mike Riley. And Riley running out of time, running out of the pocket, and he'll take a hit. Mac Henry is there. Along with Cameron Judge.
Put A.C. Leonard in a position where he can basically go in any gap or anywhere he wants, and he gets pushed past by Philip Norman.
Going for Riley, 2nd and 6. Slant pattern is caught. That's a 1st down, and Shaq Johnson moves the chains close to midfield.
You don't see him every day, and I don't see him in practice every day in the meeting rooms, but man, I'd give him some more opportunities. I think he's got nothing but upside.
Micah Tights is in at the linebacker spot, 1st and 10. A pump from Riley, and now he's going to unload. He wants Johnson, jump ball, and it's intercepted. Lucas Purifoy's got it. His first interception of the year comes against the former team of his. And Purifoy weaving back toward midfield before he's taken down by Norman.
Ill-advised throw. I know Mike Riley is behind here in the score, and he's trying to make things happen, but they weren't fooled. The Saskatchewan secondary was not fooled. Take a look at the umbrella back here, and what you want on the fake hit screen is for those guys to move forward out of their deep cover. They don't. Purifoy stays back. He's not stepping up. He hangs back there, and this turns into double coverage on Shaq Johnson. So in the fake hitch going deep play, you want those deep guys to bite on it, take at least 2 or 3 steps forward so that Shaq Johnson can get in behind him, and he wasn't.
Trying to create more turnovers. Didn't have one against Calgary. Get one here late at a critical time, and now tempers start to flare. Bergman Reed in the middle of it. And who's that for the Roughriders in the lather? It's Dan Clark.
Fake hitch. Hoping for deep guys to bite. They didn't. Not sure what that was, but little defensive back meeting.
By the way, in his career against Saskatchewan, Mike Riley's thrown more interceptions, 18 than touchdowns, 17. A shot for Shaq Evans. Comes back to the ball, and he will score. Touchdown. Shaq Evans beats Gary Peters, and the Roughriders are going to run away. 50-yard connection from Fajardo to Shaq Evans.
How about Cody Fajardo? Got the lead, not taking it conservative, not trying to just, play safe. He saw blitz and thought, I've got a one-on-one with my guy Shaq Evans, who's been my #1 target tonight. I'm taking that shot.
Evans up to 158 yards receiving, 3 consecutive touchdown drive for the Roughriders, breaking open a tightly contested battle, and now a 38-19 lead.
Well, as a defensive back that gets the pick, and Luchez Purifoy, the former BC Lion, got that pick to get the ball back for his offense. This is ideal. This is what you're hoping for as a DB. So you get the pick, you don't bite, stay disciplined, high point the ball and get the pick. A little bit of a return here, and then what you're hoping is on the sudden change, your offense goes out there and puts it right to him. And Shaq Evans goes up, gets the touchdown here on Gary Peters, and Luchez Purifoy says, yeah, man. That's what we want to see. There we go. I got the pick. Sudden change. Make a pick.
2 plays, 56 yards in a minute 16 after the Purifoy interception, and 20 unanswered points by the Roughriders.
And here I got some, but this was closer than that score is going to show.
No.
This game was a 1-point game deep into it. And I got some good news. They're going to do it all again next weekend.
Next Saturday.
These two teams go back at it. Cody Fajardo's had his bounce-back game. The Lions still have some protection issues up front.
2 touchdown passes for Fajardo. 1 touchdown on the ground. And an enormous night for Shaq Evans.
When you win a couple jump balls as a receiver, as a defensive back, you get in your mind that you're loading up for the jump ball again. And that last touchdown, Shaq Evans cut underneath the coverage.
3.5 minutes remaining. That Purifoy interception snapped a consecutive completion streak of 15 for Riley. Well, he said his last game was below his standard, but not tonight.
Nice job running the ball, too, for Cody Fajardo tonight.
Here's Durant on the hitch. Back into traffic. And he is swarmed. Behind the line of scrimmage, it'll be a loss of about 3. So we've hit the 3-minute warning. A tightly contested battle broken open here in the 4th quarter. Take a look at action coming up next week. Week 7 starts on Thursday Night Football. It's the Stampeders and the Red Blacks.
Oh, baby.
And then the Argos and Eskimos. Friday Night Football. Bombers put that unbeaten streak on the line. That'll be a big one at Tim Hortons Field.
That's going to be fun.
And the rematch Saturday.
Rematch these two teams. One possession. This was a one-possession game halfway through the 4th. Won't open up late, but
Winnipeg Hamilton, the live Mike game. Riley under siege again, but gets away. And now takes off. Stumbled across the 40. And it's going to be 3rd down.
Both teams desperate coming into this one. No question. Want wanted to get out of the basement, get that second win of the season. But the desperation dial goes up a notch and a half when it comes to next week for the BC Lions at home. They have got to win that football game to split this series.
They can't lose touch with the rest of the West. 3rd and 4 here. 3-man rush. And a completion to Carter. So the offense will stay on the field.
You know, and I think Lions fans are going to look at what Deron Carter, another quiet night. When we saw him get into it a little bit with Nick Marshall to start the game. Couple of catches tonight. One just before the half that didn't really have a bearing in the game. And again, I would suggest still underachieving. But until the protection problems for BC are shored up, it's really tough to evaluate the passing game, evaluate the receiving core. You know, really even evaluate Mike Riley's ability to put first downs together. Until they can shore up through play calling and protection that issue. Because Riley is still getting pounded. He's up to almost 100 pressures and over 20 sacks. And we're just finished 6 games now.
Hunter Stewart has to come in for the injured center, J.S. Watt. And Philip Norman will handle the snapping duties. Stewart to left guard.
Micah Johnson's back in for Saskatchewan.
That's good news for the Roughriders. And that snap gets away from Riley. He's got to eat it all the way back at the 26. So a change at center and a shotgun snap went awry. And Riley takes another hit that he didn't have to take.
And I don't think, even from the beginning of this game, I don't think I've seen Mike Riley look this beat up. I mean, he just, even in the warm-up, Mike Riley looked like he has been taking a beating, and he has.
I know no lead safe, but this one should be, and you wonder why Danny O'Brien's not in. It's not a 2-score game. It's a 3-score game. Norman, the shotgun snap on target that time. And Carter wrestled down. And Riley is slow to get up again. And really, is any further punishment necessary tonight? Although that would be interpreted as a low hit.
Well, that should have been flagged. That's why you take him out. A 3-score game. That's why, as you suggested, you take them out. Because they're not coming back to win this game, and now you're just putting them in harm's way for a careless hit like that, which may, depending on how far Mac Henry rolled there, turn into some supplementary discipline. I'm sure they'll look at it, and Devon Clayburgh's going to challenge that was a low hit, and it was.
Yep, should win this challenge. He's 6 for 6 in that department.
And it's dangerous. I mean, again, I want to look at it one more time.
BC is challenging the previous play for roughing the passer. This will be reviewed.
But more important than the verdict on this challenge is the status of Mike Riley on the bench.
Yeah, Henry could have stopped. He could have stopped himself. He gets pushed. There's no question from Brett Boyko. And those ones are dangerous.
After review by the command center, roughing the passer, Saskatchewan, number 74. 15 yards at the end of the play with an automatic first down.
Mike Riley's been hit 12 times today, hurried 14 times. Hard to fathom that he's coming back.
I don't know why Devon Clayburgh themselves.
Right. It shouldn't be his decision at this point, despite the fact that he likes to finish when he starts.
Yeah, I know it's late, and Danny O'Brien would have to just go out there basically stone cold, but that doesn't matter. I mean, you're putting your franchise player in jeopardy here.
And it's a 3-game series. If you're worried about the tiebreaker, then points unlikely to factor into a 3-game series. These two teams play again in a week and then in October.
And this is, and Riley's barely able to, I mean, he's still laboring from the hit.
First down. Gonna take another shot. A jump ball incomplete. Trying to hit Carter down the rail, and Nick Marshall was there defensively.
Get this one.
That's just the 5th incompletion for Riley on the night.
How y'all gonna let him celebrate with gunfire?
Second and 10. Screen for White. Makes the first man miss. Has a first down to the Saskatchewan 45. To the sidelines. Carter belted out of bounds by Nick Marshall with the catch made.
Just a little extra there from Nick Marshall.
They've had something going all day.
Just a little bit extra. Now there's the push out of bounds, and then there's this.
Nothing wrong with it. There was one earlier that he got away with. Second and 2, and that gets away. Riley may have to take another hit. And that's why you ask the question, why is he still out there?
Yeah, I don't get it. And, you know, I mean, you lose 13 and you lose your season. And I know there's lots of games to be played here, and that's not an indictment on Daniel O'Brien. He's just so unproven. And for a minute, that is inconsequential. I don't get it.
3rd and 2. White will run for the first down. Cameron Judge a tackle.
Like and the problem is also that Mike Riley is so beaten down. I mean, he is just hanging on right now by a thread. And watch.
Trying to thread the needle for Burnham, incomplete.
Look at him. After every throw, it's like
he's Rocky in the late rounds against Carl Weathers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's.
Who drags him down at the 22, and another 3rd down upcoming. Unless that little fracas results in penalties, but they're quickly separated. Devon Claybrook's crew going to fall to 1-5. Greg Dickinson talked about hitting the third of the season at 3-3. He's got a chance, and now 2-3 with next week's game. White again on the carry, dragged down by E.C. Leonard.
Earlier today, Montreal beat Edmonton. So Saskatchewan and Calgary wanted to continue to climb and try and close the gap on a red-hot Winnipeg Blue Bomber team in the West. Big win again last night for the Bombers.
White again. And he takes a heavy hit from Elimimian. And Elimimian has his 7th tackle of the night.
Yeah, better tonight. You know, in that first game, he even admitted afterwards he's, got to get a little rust on.
PC.
Who's flying around tonight? Made some early tackles in the first quarter.
Now they do play again next week, so I'm trying to get in the head of Devon Claybrook. How much value for the Lions if they drive the field here and put one score in heading to next week? Is there any value in that at all?
I don't think so. I think the risk-reward factor here with Riley in harm's way with about 2 minutes, that risk outweighs any sort of little push you might get by scoring here. I mean, you mentioned the season series, it's 3 games, so that's not going to be determined. At points for and against won't determine the series. So, no, I don't think the reward of a score here outweighs the risk.
Johnson can't make the catch. And it's 3rd down once again.
Plus, this is just the truth of it. If Danny O'Brien doesn't get any reps, I mean, he better get some, because I don't know if Mike Riley's going to survive the season. He keeps taking hits like this in game after game.
Here's the 16th play in the drive. Can they extend it on 3rd and 6? Or can they cap it? Over the middle, complete. Lamar Durant has the first down. First and goal, time for 1, maybe 2 plays. Hughes to the sidelines. Fake to White. Katoy, touchdown. Javon Katoy has his first Canadian Football League touchdown.
See next week if that late score is something that, as you mentioned, Chris, may, I don't know, inspire them.
17 plays, 75 yards. You have to admire Mike Riley's resilience, determination.
And
now they're going to go for 2.
Risk is too high, as far as I'm concerned.
Takes to White. And knocked away by Gady. David Mackey was open in behind him, but Gady with a knockdown.
Yeah, I could see it if it was a 2-game series in the season.
Absolutely.
Then there's no question. You've got to leave him in. He's your best chance to get some points and close the gap because you got a 2-game. But they play again next week, as you mentioned. Then October 18th will be when the series, if they split, if BC can get the win, and they'll be desperate for one next week, then they split and they'll determine it in October.
Time for the Nissan Titan Player of the Game, brought to you by the Nissan Titan, the official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
Sometimes you're in a zone, and when you're an elite player in a zone, you dominate. Charleston Hughes dominated tonight. The BC Lions could not block number 39.
The sack master was at it. 9th career 3-sack game. And a lot more than that here tonight for 39. The final kickoff to wrap this up. Swift down to Thigpen, who had the big kick return earlier in the game, and the 0's on the clock. The home-and-home series begins with a convincing Saskatchewan Roughrider victory led by the former BC Lion, Cody Fajardo, over Mike Riley.
Cody Fajardo heading back to the win column. Good bounce-back game for him. Mike Riley heading right back to the cold tub.
What's up, baby?
So the Roughriders move to 2-3. BC now falls to 1-4, and they'll do it all over again at BC Place next week. Our next game, Thursday Night Football. Great kick rematch at TD Place, Calgary and Ottawa. For now, so long from Mosaic. Once again, the final score, 38-25.